away? Do you leave the house? Do you hide out in the room and lock the door and bar the door? Or do you grab a baseball bat and go open that closet that you heard the noise in to see what's making the noise, because you'd rather catch the thing off guard than have it catch you off guard, right? So think about how you handle fear. You know, whether it's a safety issue, obviously sometimes we handle those things different, or if it's fear of something that makes you uncomfortable, fear of something new, fear of a new situation, or fear of having to give a class presentation, right? Whatever it might be. Sometimes we tackle the thing and we face it head on, and sometimes there is some avoidance with things that we fear. So think about how we handle this, you know, fear in different scenarios and different situations. No. We'll introduce it Thursday, we'll talk about it, and then you'll do it on your own time. December 7th. Don't quote me on that, I'm gonna have to.
So we grabbed a safe and you could not open it in 60 seconds.
That sounds like so much fun. I hate my
I have the best teacher.
I ran a TA who was very serious about his job.
My ASU
Ours talks about
101 grade went from a 62 to a 29 today.
Hey, how did you get a 62 at ASU 101? Did you just not show up?
No, I didn't do like 4 assignments. But he hadn't graded a bunch of shit, so it was only like 14.
I can't say that. I don't like ASU. Yeah.
So we would come
Yeah, mine doesn't either.
we would look
It's
on our
just like,
calendar and we'll be like, and we're like, struggling.
exactly. Yeah. Like the career night, did you guys do that? Were you supposed to go to a panel? I didn't, but I filled it out.
But this last essay, I didn't really
Oh, D, that's chaotic.
So excited. So excited. Alright. Get it done.
Alright, okay. So I did really good on my presentation in class today, but I turned it in late.
I don't even think it impacted my grade. I think it impacted my grade by 1%.
What did?
I have my final tomorrow. I'm not STS 101.
We need to go over some of these, like all of it. I made the test worth out of only 11.5 points, so it's like a homework grade. So it did tank all your grades.
Wait, what?
Yay! You can, someone else say repeat what I just said.
So it's like a homework rather than a
So that would be probably, we only have, thankfully, right, 2 classes left. Okay, so we need to spend time today going over law of sines, law of cosines, and trigonometric equations. Last homework is due on Thursday. This Thursday, like in 2 days. If you guys are choosing to have the Y grade option, you guys need to be passing, and you need to email me no later than 3 o'clock today. To get the Y grade, the Y grade just means that you don't get credit, or you don't get like a point assigned to your grade. It's not like 4.0 or 3.0 for a B, or 3.5. It's like you're passing. So, so you need to let me know if you want to have that option no later than 3 o'clock today. ABC is a right triangle with sides A, B, and C labeled. Angle A is capital A, angle B is capital B, angle C is the right angle. So C is the hypotenuse. And I gave you the lengths of it. So side A was 5. Side C was 13. And you were left to, and I said you must show all work and express, reduce, and rationalize fractions if necessary. So using the Pythagorean theorem, which states that leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. And so one of the legs was 5 squared plus one of them was the unknown is equal to 13 squared. So 25 plus leg squared is equal to 169. So leg squared is equal to 169 minus 25, which is 144. And so hopefully we know the square root of 144 is 12. Of B, so we're operating, so these trigonometric functions only operate on angles. So when we talk about sine of B, we're talking about what is the side opposite angle B, not opposite angle A, or else it would have said sine of A. Sine of angle B is opposite of B over hypotenuse, so 12 over 13. Cosine of B is adjacent to side B over hypotenuse. So you're using before I go on to the remaining 3 trig functions. So sine opposite over hypotenuse, opposite of the angle. Okay, that's the operative argument. Angle B. Cosecant of B is going to be the reciprocal of sine of B. So it's just the reciprocal, so you flip the fraction. Secant of B is the reciprocal of cosine of B, so you flip that fraction. Cotangent of B will be the reciprocal of tangent of B, so you flip that fraction and you're done. Depression from the helicopter to point P. So when we think of depression, and we went over this in the packet as well, the angle of depression, when you're looking out, you're looking depressed, are you looking up or are you looking down? The angle of depression from the helicopter, so here's the helicopter flying 925, or hovering 925 feet above an island. So they're looking at point P on the ground. So these two angles are equivalent. Okay, so then what you're doing is you're finding how far off the coast to the nearest foot is the helicopter, or is the island. So we're looking for this distance here. Of 33 is equal to 925 feet over x. X is equal to 925 over tangent 33. So let's just make sure I have the number. I think it's 1494. So x squared is equal to 26 squared minus 24 squared. So x is equal to 10. So tangent of the angle will be opposite of the angle over adjacent to the angle. So you must express your answer as a fully reduced fraction only. So opposite 24 over 10 gets reduced as a fully reduced fraction, not a decimal, will be, the common factor is 2, 24 over 2 is 12, 10 over 2 is 5. Okay, so I say it straight up here. Express your answer as a fully reduced fraction only, no decimals. Find a positive angle less than 360 degrees that's coterminal with 420. So 420 is beyond the unit circle, beyond 1 revolution around the circle. This angle is clockwise counterclockwise because it's positive. So you go around 1 revolution around the circle, that's 360 degrees. 420 minus 360 is 60 degrees. So that's your answer. Tangent is positive in quadrant 1 and 3. And so it would be negative in quadrants 2 and 4. Cosine is negative also, so that means we're in quadrant 2. So tangent, if it's going to be a negative ratio, that would mean the opposite side is positive, because sine is positive in quadrant 2, that means the y-coordinate is positive in quadrant 2. Whoops, apologies, it should be positive 5 over negative 12. So that would mean we need to find the hypotenuse. If we know the opposite side is 5, the adjacent side is negative 12. So 5 squared plus negative 12 squared. So 25 plus 144, which is 169, which we know the square root of such is going to be 13. Would be 0 to pi.
So it would only be negative pi for pi.
For what? For sine or for cosine?
Cosine.
For cosine, it would be either 0 or pi.
And those are your only two options?
Between 0 and quadrants 1 and 2.
Okay. And so,
But for sine inverse, it would be in quadrants 4 and 1.
okay. So just in the negative.
So there is your test. We're going to go over, it's up to you. I'm just saying what would be in your best interest, speaking from an instructor's point of view. But of course, you can do whatever you want.
Don't worry, I'll stay.
No, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just saying to you what would be in your best interest. I really don't care, but I'm just stating what would be in your best interest. Okay. The 1 equals 2 cosine of 3x. Then I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 2. So 1/2 is equal to cosine of 3x. So negative pi over 4, which is equivalent to negative 45 degrees. So pi over 4, 90, so it's an isosceles triangle. That means the opposite and the adjacent side are equivalent. So in this ratio we have negative square root of 2 over 2. Square root of 2 over 2 is the adjacent side, and then the hypotenuse is 1. So tangent inverse of negative 1 is negative pi over 4. So dividing both sides by 6, negative pi over 24. Questions on either one of those?
How do you know that it's going to be radix over 2?
Because that's a special triangle, and that's just what I'm expecting people to know. Just like the relationship for 30, 60, 90. Pi over 6, pi over 3, and pi over 2 is always going to be 1/2. Opposite side, square root of 3 over 2 and 1. For a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the ratio is always going to be square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2 and 1. And the sign would be dictated based upon what quadrant we're in. And then the other special triangle that's expected to know is the pi over 3 with the reference angle. That's 60 degrees as my reference angle, but pi over 3 in radians. The opposite side, square root of 3 over 2. The adjacent side is 1/2, and then the hypotenuse is 1. Law of cosines is actually on the back of the packet I gave you that we didn't finish, that I didn't refer back to. So this is more applicable when, so notice the law of sines is applicable when you have sides and angles opposite the given side.
Okay, this end stop will be still here, and it will also be
A bunch of people applied, one person met the specifications. Like, okay, well, we're gonna hire this one person, and assuming that it wasn't a bust, she got the job. So when we analyze jobs, we can look at the tasks. What do you do? What are the specific things that have to be done? Right? If you're putting widgets together, what exactly is involved in putting the widget together? And then you can also look at kind of the worker-oriented approach. What are the human behaviors that are involved? Are there physical things you need to do? Most jobs will say you need the ability to lift 40 pounds, kind of a thing. Not that you do that all the time, but you know, maybe you have to once in a while. What are the interpersonal skills? If you're doing customer service, right? Can you get along with people? Can you talk to people? That sort of stuff. And then the mental factors. Like if you're standing and you're putting widgets together all day, you have to be able to be focused. And more recently, the hybrid method. We're interested in the work and the worker at the same time and how they fit together. Candidate's superpower. I had to sit there and think, okay, how would I define this? What is this? What is it? I came up with a good answer, at least I felt like it was. And when I shared it with that person, he's like, yeah, that's cool. So ultimate criteria, right, are kind of these things like you might have to have good filing efficiency, good written communication, good oral communication, and creativity, right? And then how do we measure those things? Well, we might measure this by how fast someone keyboards. How many mistakes do they make? Do they follow procedures? And not offering any opinions. And so the goal is to see how far would this candidate let this go? I mean, the guys in the back were getting just like as nasty as they could. One was the economic development director for the city. The other was a vice president of an ambulance company. But they were just like, they were getting real creative and personal and saying things about each other's family and like, wow. So, and you know, this person's driving, and so they're constantly doing this, and I'm sitting there going, "You're driving. Like, you're driving, right? You can't. You're driving." So one gentleman was totally perplexed. He just had no idea what to say. So the guy who got the job kind of finally said, I'm like, "You're driving. And he's like, "Can I pull over?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're driving." He goes, "I'm pulled over. You guys, be quiet, da-da-da." And so I'm just like, yapping. He goes, "Be quiet." Right, da-da-da, and I'm just yapping, and they're yapping in the back. Finally, they shut up, and I'm like, but chief, blah, 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 right? Finally, he looks at me and goes, "Shut the fuck up!" He got the job. And you wouldn't think, right? Okay, wow. But this is a role play. What the chief was looking for is somebody that could be really assertive and take control. And so, those kinds of things, it's funny. You think, like, this is a role play, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And they all came up to us afterwards and said, "Yeah, you guys were something else." But those are a situational judgment test. What kind of experience do you have in a job? Can we do work samples? An assessment center is where you go from one station to another, to another, to another. And it's usually a full day affair. I've been through some of these, for sure. And it's just like you do one thing, here's what you're going to do, you do a presentation, there's a series of interviews. Sometimes it's like you have lunch, they take you out for lunch, make no mistake, you're still being evaluated, right? We look at biodata, what does that mean? What's on a person's resume? That kind of thing, and checking references. That's all part of things that we can look at. And so we have all of these different predictors, but we get into the job specifications, we get into what are called the KSAs, the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities of a job. So, do you need advanced knowledge in a discipline? Have you taken courses? Have you done research? This is where we want to find out what's on the person's resume, right? Do you have an advanced degree? Do you have knowledge in broader areas? Again, looking at the resume. We can look at a publication record, right? Or those sorts of things. This looks like a job for a faculty member. Can you advise people, right?